Hello, dickheads! We're back with another night. Gotta do a few more before we end off Private Dick, so I'm going as fast as I can. I'm gonna start doing this weekly. Try and get these all out as fast as possible so me and RJ can get together, do the last episode about the quest for the Holy Grail. Episode 99. The Wayne Gretzky of Private Dick's episodes. Today, I'm covering Sir Lionel. Another knight who actually saw the Grail, or got close to it anyway, never actually retrieved it though. Didn't think himself worthy. I guess God didn't think he was worthy. Either way, before we get into Sir Lionel, let's talk about the lie. If this is the first episode on my series, The Knights of the Round Table, I suggest you go back and listen to the episodes before this. It's not like the series is dependent on it, but if you listen in order, the lies will make more sense. What do I mean when I saying I'm telling you lies? Well, all these old stories are basically fan fiction from dudes from 1,000 years old. Seriously, all it is just like I took something that kind of existed, made it my own, and now it is what it is today because of it. Meaning, I'm going to take some liberties and make up some extra stories for these nights because this is the Studillian cycle of the Arthurian legend, and I just want to spice up the legends a bit more. And I do this in hopes that someone listens to this and takes my lie into their project, and somebody else takes from them, and from them, and from them, and then I finally get my part of the story added to the real or the legend that is. And I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to tell you a lie about during the episode. You'll have to wait till next episode to find out what story was made up by me. I should let it linger, simmer. Last episode we covered Sir Milagent. Milagent? I still don't know how to say that. And I told a lie. Now the lie here I think was pretty obvious. I think. I don't know. If you remember last episode, I told you that one of his sisters was his confidant and he told her about everything. And then he ends up telling her about killing the hunting dog just to watch the lights go out in its eye. Like a pure fucking psycho. Yeah, that was all made up by me, for sure. Malignant was a bad dude, but there's no like serial killer signs. Like that's a modern thing. Like I think it's pretty normal back then to have killed things. Like I think everyone in the Middle Ages was like a serial killer. Like anybody I talk about, anybody from the Knights of the Round Table. I've said it a million times. Arthur's supposed to be the super nice guy, but he is a psycho barbarian like the rest of them. So without further ado, let's talk about Sir Lionel, Knight of the Round Table and future King of Gaul.
An elite team of private detectives.
What if balloons are aliens? Maybe that's the key component we're missing.
Cover-ups.
John's guilty.
Mysteries that need to be solved.
Maybe Mormons need mountains.
Richard, shut up.
So Sir Lionel, he was the youngest child of King Bors of Gaul and Yvain. I don't even know if he's the youngest anymore because I'm working on the next episode. He might be the oldest. We're going with the oldest because it makes a lot more sense later that he'd be the oldest. And well, I'll get you why. So he is the oldest child of King Bors of Gaul and Yvain. King Bors the elder had a brother named Ban, and both Ban boys, Ban and Bors, were early allies to King Arthur. Especially in the early days when King Arthur was fighting against rebel kings who were trying to usurp him when he was a kid, who they didn't think he deserved to be a king. I think I talked about that in the King Arthur episode. Ban was Lancelot's father, making Lancelot and Lionel cousins. Bors the younger as well as a cousin, I guess. Lionel is the older brother of Bors the younger. The other kings that were on Arthur's side during this rebellion were King Lot, King Urien, and King Caradoc. Some of which we've touched on in other episodes, and other not so much. Maybe we'll touch on them. I'm not going right into those guys right yet. Ban and Bors agree to help Arthur if Arthur is to help them fight against the evil King Claudas. Claudas, who was threatening Gaul, their kingdom. So Arthur agrees to that. You help me out over here, I'll help you out over there. Seems like a simple switch. But Arthur gets there too late, and Claudas' invasion succeeds to Gaul. During that invasion, Claudas kills both Ban and Bors, the elder, not the younger, to secure his legitimacy of the king as the king of Gaul. He probably would have killed the kids as well, Bors the younger, Lionel, and Lancelot. They all escape via the help of our old friend, the Lady of the Lake. Nimue. I think her name was Nimue. I'd have to go back and look. The same Lady of the Lake that helped Arthur get Excalibur and buried him in the lake after he died. The Lady of the Lake takes Lionel, Bors the Younger, and Lancelot to her underwater kingdom and raises them there. We'll cover that a lot more in the Lancelot episode. When they get old enough, all three of them become knights. They'll have to prove themselves worthy of becoming a Knight of the Round Table. The story for Lionel, how he convinces King Arthur to add him to the Knights of the Round Table, is kind of an interesting one. The thing that caught Arthur's eye in knighting good old Lionel was his prowess with a bow. Lionel was an ace with a bow. He won many tournaments in the archery category. He was knocking apples off hats and hitting targets right in the middle, like bullseye every time. Lionel was that guy. And at one time, at one of these tournaments, in the middle of an archery competition, there was an assassin at the tournament who lunges at King Arthur, going to kill him, get him in the throat with a knife. Lionel, from the podium, from down at the on the grounds, sees this, aims upwards and misses his target. Everyone is shocked at the competition because Lionel is an ace with the bow, and everyone thinks that he misses and saying it's kind of over for Lionel. Until Guinevere says, "You saved him," and stops the whole tournament. Everyone looks up at the queen, and there's a dead man laying on her husband, King Arthur. Arthur pushes him off, gets up and declares, "Lionel's the winner of the archery competition. I'm going to reward you personally." And he walks down onto the tournament floor and knights him in the arena in front of all of Camelot, which is like pretty impressive. After that, he became known as Sir Lionel, the Eye of Camelot. And he's a Knight of the Round Table after that. And he's young. He's got to be 17, 18. He's just coming into his knighthood years. Not many people get to be knights that young. And the first knightly quest Lionel embarks on is a story we kind of covered in the past in a kind of a little sideways way. I think I mentioned this before about a guy named Turquine, Lord of the Impenetrable Forest. So as a young man, Lancelot and Lionel are traveling together near the Impenetrable Forest, and they come across a rogue knight named Turquine. Turquine was described as a giant knight, a big, burly man, like the Mountain is what I kind of picture. And he's also known as the Lord of the Impenetrable Forest. And like I said, I think we talked about Turquine before. Turquine loved to capture knights of the Round Table and torture them. He captured and imprisoned over 60 knights of the round. 60. That's ridiculous. I didn't even, like, I'm on episode 20 and I'm like over it. I don't want to do 60. Yeah, right. I'll do a couple more of the important ones and then we'll see where we're going from there. But 60, that's amazing. I'm pretty sure he captured someone else that we covered too. That's why I talked about him. But I'm not going to go back and look. Like, I wish I had a database of these episodes just to like keyword search with all the, but I don't. Like, it'd be take me a while. It's not worth doing. I remember this kind of thing being mentioned before. That's kind of why I think that this was covered in the past. Going through the 20 scripts doesn't sound like a great time to me. If you guys know, email me, privatedicks.detectiveagency@gmail.com if you know and you can remind me. That's fucking that's like full of myself. Assuming I have a fan that remembers these episodes more than I do. That's like imagine. Hey, that'd be awesome. If you're out there, man, email me. We'll chit chat. Enough about Turquine. Today we're talking about Lionel. Actually, with a little bit more about Turquine. So Lionel and Lancelot are walking in the impenetrable forest and they jump by Turquine. Lancelot escapes, but Lionel does not. Lionel's brought back to Turquine's castle deep in the woods, named Castle of Thorns. I love how they name castles. Like, we should name our house. I'm gonna ask my wife what we should name our house. House of Strawberries. It gives you an idea. Like, House of Castle of Thorns tells you, like, it's in the middle of the woods. You know that. The House of Strawberries makes it kind of sound like soft and delicious. That's kind of what my house would be like. Fun. Gets brought back to the Castle of Thorns. Lionel's thrown into the dungeon. There, he is whipped by Turquine with thistles. That's all they say. He's like just tortured with thistles a bunch. And then he's eventually rescued by Lancelot, which we'll get way more into when we do Lancelot episode. I'm not going to go into the whole Turquine thing, but Turquine's a fun bad guy. His name sounds fun, Turquine. Turkey. Anyways, the cool thing about Turquine, I'll just mention this real quick. He had like a bronze bell hanging from a tree in the forest. And if you go out there and you ring it, he would just show up and duel you. What a way to live. You know? Like, it's just waiting for the bell. Like, sometimes you just don't feel like it. You know, when you're at work You're just like chilling day, and then someone dings. You're like, okay, whatever, I'll go do my work. And then like, and the next guy comes. You're like, okay, it's maybe kind of a busy day today. And then he's got like 6 nights to fight that day. He's like, I'm tuckered out. Do I take down the bell or do I just keep it up all night? Or does he live beside the bell? Anyway, what do I live? And like I said, 60 nights. And every night that he defeats in this way, he will take their shield and hang them from the trees as warnings to the next people. So like, I feel like he put up the extra shields when he's done for the day. Like too many people, he puts up a couple extra shields. I will tell you that Lancelot does eventually save all the imprisoned knights, including his cousin Lionel. In the Grail quest, the situation for Lionel repeats itself. While searching for the Grail, Lionel is captured by some, quote, wicked knights, stripped naked, tied to a horse, and then beaten with thistle branches again. Like, what a nightmare. That happens to him once. Not once, just twice. Jesus Christ. Sorry, dude. This ends up actually being a test from God to see if they're worthy of the Grail. We'll talk about more of that in the Grail episode. His brother Bors sees the assault happening on his brother, but at the exact same time as he witnesses his brother's torture, Bors hears another woman getting dragged off by one of these wicked knights to do who knows what to her. I'm imagining very least a beating, very worst death, and everything in between, including probably rape, then death. Freaky shit. So Bors has to make a choice to either help his brother or this defenseless woman. And being the knight that we will learn that Bors is next episode, he decides that helping a defenseless, nameless again, woman, granted nameless, that is upholding his chivalric code. Chivalric code. Chivalric? I think that's chivalric. Anyways, he thinks to himself, like, Lionel's tough enough. He can survive this. And he prays. Prays for his survival. And then that's Bors' test. Bors passes God's test by going to help the woman. Lionel's test is still coming. It's coming up right now. So Lionel manages to free himself from his captors with brutal injuries. I'm imagining God lets him go, honestly. And the injuries are not only to his body, they're to his concept of loyalty. Like, how could your brother not have intervened? How could he not have saved me? I'm his brother. I'm his only brother. And Lionel is now consumed by rage. And this was Lionel's test. Can you forgive your brother? No, he can't. And he fails. He fails his test. Bors shows some lady over him. Lionel wants to find his brother and kill him. He tracks him down, and Bors is overjoyed. You're alive. I'm so happy. I saved that woman. Lionel draws his sword and attacks Bors immediately. Bors is actually hanging with another knight named Sir Calogrenant, and some random hermit, or abbot, sometimes they call him. Let's say a religious homeless guy. And they both go like, whoa, calm down, buddy. Calogrenant's like, yo, dude, calm. The hermit's like, I don't know who you are, but dude, we're just having a good time out in the forest here. You gotta stop. Bors tells him to relax, leave it be, and he asks his brother for forgiveness. Bors refuses to fight his brother. Lionel doesn't accept his forgiveness, and he swings the sword anyway. Calogrenant and the abbot, the homeless religious guy, get in between the brothers, Lionel and Bors, and both of them get struck down by a raged out Lionel, and he kills them. Bors still refuses to fight. And just as Lionel's finally about to get his final blow into his brother, God intervenes and strikes Lionel down with a pillar of fire. This pillar of fire does not kill Lionel, it just paralyzes him and stops him from being able to kill his own brother. But after God gets in there, Lionel instantly realizes what a huge mistake he was about to make. He realizes it was a test and he repents. He tries to reconcile with Bors, and Bors accepts the apology freely. Not even giving a shit that Lionel just killed a fucking homeless guy and another knight, one of his buddies. He just goes, yeah, sure, you're forgiven. And I guess he helps him bury the bodies or something. I don't really know. Lionel stays at the gravesite to repent some more, I'm guessing. And Bors just keeps heading out with Galahad and Percival to try and find the Grail. Lionel doesn't try to go further in the quest because he knows that anyone pursuing the Grail has to be pure of heart, and he just murdered two people. So Lionel seems smart enough to know that he would not have been able to get to the Holy Grail anyway, so he just like stays there. Now let's cut to the end of these stories when the round table gets fractured. Let's get to the end when we talked about this before. Everyone finds out about the affair of Lancelot and Guinevere, and we'll talk about how that happens in the Lancelot episode as well. But they find out and they split sides. Half go to Arthur, half go to Lancelot, and Lionel picks Lancelot's side in the whole affair, which is a different change. I think most of the people I've covered so far have been on Arthur's side, but this guy goes to Lancelot. Lionel goes to Lancelot, his cousin, their cousin family. Lionel helps Lancelot rescue Guinevere from being burned alive at the stake. Lionel survives the whole war, unlike the other knights, because he was on Lancelot's side, and Lancelot liked to kill all of Arthur's knights, so Lancelot doesn't kill him this time. Instead, he joins Lancelot in exile, and as an exchange, Lionel crowns him as the King of Gaul. And Gaul's like France, if anybody cares, like France basically. But Gaul was already Lionel's. He was the older brother. That's why I said it makes more sense that he was the older brother. Like, why would you make him the king of the place he's already king of? That doesn't make sense. He's the king, yeah. So I feel like Lionel kind of got played there. During his time in France, Lionel realizes that Mordred was an evil little fucker and regrets ever siding with him against his brother, King Arthur. So after the war is all said and done, Lionel returns to Britain with Lancelot's family to defeat the remnants of Mordred's army once and for all. Mordred's son, Melihan, is leading the skeleton of an army. It's just a bunch of injured and not very young recruits. Not a big fight, but they go fight anyway. And during the skirmish, Melihan gets the upper hand on Lionel and kills him on the battlefield in an unimportant battle just to prove himself and others that he was loyal to King Arthur, even though King Arthur was already dead, and even though it took him long after his death to admit it. Bors didn't take his brother's death well, and we find out what he does and what his reaction is in the next episode. And that's the episode on Sir Lionel. Not a huge story, but an interesting one nonetheless. And I love how, like, these are all supposed to tell a story of, like, morality or whatever. All these old stories have something like that. I'm not really sure what the point of Lionel's stories are. He's kind of just, like, supposed to be like a reflection of his brother Bors, I guess. Just this is what could happen. Maybe the story's family is everything, because God only intervened once in these stories so far, all of them. And it's when a brother was about to strike down his own brother. God didn't give a shit in that episode that Lionel killed a homeless religious guy and another knight. Couldn't give a shit. But when he's about to kill his brother, God stops that shit right away. So family is everything, I guess. Maybe that's the whole point of the Lionel story. So I don't really know what I'm trying to say at this point, but family is everything. Thanks for listening, guys. That's Sir Lionel. Next week, we're going to do Sword Bors, the older brother. All right. Talk to you later. Peace.
I just watched Private Dicks, and I think RJ's the funniest.
What? Come on.